My first question is, one of my biggest fears about getting married is, and listen, I'll keep it as honest as I can.
Sure.
I'm always afraid that I'll wake up and he won't love me anymore.
Oh, I have
Or
that
that
fear.
I'll wake up and listen, I'm pretty confident.
Yeah.
But sometimes I wake up and I'm afraid that I won't be enough anymore,
Yeah.
or maybe his taste will change, and that fear shakes me to the point that I'm like, maybe marriage isn't
may not
for me.
wanna be as open as you can
And
be.
then
Yeah.
how do you, after 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, how do you really honestly keep it where he still wants you and you still want him? Because listen, at the end of the
Okay,
day,
now we're really getting into
let's
it.
get into it, girl. Because listen, a lot of women want to know. You
Yeah.
go to the bar, you got a ton of liquors you can choose from.
Yeah.
It took you a while to realize that your drink was that
Yeah.
gin gimlet.
Yeah.
And that's all you want. But some men, listen, you can have your favorite drink, but you're gonna have a lot of
But you
others
wanna
over
try
here
other
that you,
things.
yeah.
Well, I think it's such a good question. Bottom line is, if you care about your partner, right? Care about your man, you're gonna have that fear, because when you truly open up yourself to a partnership, you're in a vulnerable place.
Yes.
So you got to make sure that the person that you've entrusted your vulnerability to is willing to protect that. My husband and I talk all the time about ride or die, all the time about having my back.
Yeah.
And he knows that he must be by my side as a united front all the time. And part of that is, I think, the honesty to say, you know what, sweetie, you're letting yourself go. Or you don't
And
really
you would be
look
cool
good.
with that if he
I'm
was
t-
like, yo,
I'm
you got a
to-
little right here.
I'm
Not yeah, come up
totally-
right there.
I'm totally okay with it. But the other piece is, I know what he married. I know what I look like when we got married.
Yes.
I took care of myself. So I'm not gonna let myself go but so much. Am I in the gym every week? Absolutely. Am I getting my hair did? Absolutely. Am I, trying to go to the dermatologist, make sure my skin looks okay? Absolutely.
Like all the time.
All the time, because I want to look good. Not only for him, but for myself.
But for yourself.
And I think that there's a lot to also knowing men. Men are visual creatures, okay? So, right? Am I right?
No, it's true. He
Men are
knows.
visual people. So you can't be busted.
Yeah.
You can't let
Because
yourself
a lot
go.
of women will say, well, he should love me for me, and he should love my
Look,
heart.
I've had 2 kids. I gained 70 pounds with my son, 60 pounds with my daughter. It was really hard for me to get back into shape. But I
Yes,
tried
you
to,
did.
I try
You
to
did
do
it.
the best that I can. I mean, I don't look the way I looked 10 years ago.
I don't know. I'm not
but
going to believe
when
that.
I had kids, but I try to keep it up. I think the other thing though is keeping it spicy. Keeping it spicy. People that say, "Oh, I've been married and I haven't had sex for a month." You know what?
Lies.
He's gonna have sex somewhere else.
He's having sex. You might not be,
There you
but he
go.
is.
So, I make it a point, now we're really getting real. I make it a point to make sure that if I haven't touched him or we haven't been intimate for a couple of days,
Yeah,
I make an appointment in my head.
Yeah.
And I say, okay,
Mama got to bring it tonight.
I got to bring it. I can't let a week go by.
Right.
Because I think a week without intimacy leads people to go astray.
I do. I believe that. I also believe that, one of the things that a lot of women miss, and I think men miss it too. I don't want to just blame the women. I think you miss the fact that the more intimate that you are, or really the less intimate you are, the more there's room for doubt, for lack of trust, because it is that intimacy that bonds you, But
in a way that you don't have with anybody
right,
else.
Right.
And that's why it's not only physical intimacy, although I think that's a huge part of it. It's also emotional intimacy.
Right.
I mean, I actually just did the Steve Harvey show. Love Steve.
I do too.
I think he's incredible. And we talked about, with some guests, about people that say, oh, I've been with my work husband or I'm with my work wife. Guess what? You shouldn't be close like that with anyone except for your partner, whether it be boyfriend, spouse. You shouldn't be calling anybody, anything like that. Your intimate thoughts, your vulnerabilities, you should be sharing it with one person, not everybody else. You can share it with your girlfriends.
Right.
We can talk. But in terms of work and other friends, your partner's got to be here, and everybody else has to be here.
Now, you know what's interesting? Let me ask you this, because I know you are know everything about the law. I know you've done some prosecuting, and like you are, like listen, you in child private eye. I know. Now, you can lay the case out like none other. I've seen you snap some people before, and it is nice.
That's my thing.
Yes, you do, and you do it with such a smile.
my thing.
I'm like, did you say that? So I'm like, look, and she'll tilt her head. I'm like, yes, she got him. But my question is then, how do you not do that to him? Like when you guys are arguing, or really, and you know what? Even before you get to that, as a strong woman, because you have to be. I know a lot of people hate to hear that because it sounds like we go on and on about this. But listen, in order to go through what we have to go through as women.
As women of
you know,
color.
it's not only that, a lot of the things that happen to us women as we are growing up that we don't talk about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, from, your preteens to being a teenager and college, all the crap.
You have to have a certain strength and
Yes.
fortitude.
Even on your job from, you got to deal with the egos and the walking on eggshells because of men with just
yes.
all of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be strong. You have to have a certain amount of oomph to you.
Yeah.
So how then do you, because this is where I am, how then do you relax that to become vulnerable and allow somebody to
we're
touch
getting
that?
deep.
Yeah, baby, we trying to help the masses.
We
We're
are.
trying to help Jasmine.
I'm spelling stuff. That question made me nervous.
Yes,
Okay.
but you get what I'm saying, right? It's
Yes.
hard. It's really hard.
All right. This is the deal. And I talk about this with my friends, some of my confidants. I'm from the Bronx, grew up in the South Bronx, partly in the projects,
Keep it real.
then moved to Manhattan, tried to polish up a little bit, but was
Right.
on the Lower East Side in the Village, just rough, you know. I can handle my own. It was very difficult for me to bring that down and to take it down. It's still difficult for me to take it down. Now, if you're a man and you marry somebody like me, one, you got to be strong, but two, I think that as a woman, you've got to stay soft and pink at all times. I remember when my husband and I had been married about 2 years. The first 2 years were really hard for us because he's an orthopedic surgeon. He was in his residency, chief resident. He's super smart. I was working for a judge. Then I was at the Justice Department, and I would get home, and I brought it home. And he would say stuff, and I'd be like, but that doesn't make sense. You know why that doesn't make sense? Because this and that and the other. And so, I don't know what that's about.
Right.
Blah, 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 blah. And your friend, I don't like your friend. You know why I don't like your friend? Because da-da-da-da.
Right.
And he said to me one day, he said, I'm a man. I'm a man. You better let me be a man. Because I go outside, I shovel my own snow, I do all that stuff. And it's really spoke to me. I was like, you know what? I am going to lose this man because if he wanted to be married to another
alpha
guy,
man, yeah.
then he would have done that. So and I know there are going to be people that watch this that are going to be like, I can't believe she said that. I make it a point to back down. Because you got to let a man be a man.
I think that's important.
Okay? You got to let a man be a man. Yeah. And so there were times when he says something and he's kind of beating his chest, and I'm like,
You giving him the side eye, like,
and I kind of just,
And it's a hard thing.
and I just say, well, or there have been times when I come home, my husband's very traditional. He's been working all day. Sometimes he'll get home before I get home. I get home later, and he'll say, what's for dinner? And I feel like
you got to break out the pots and pans.
really? Because you've been home
Right.
all this time. Or he'll say, I'm pouring myself a glass of wine, and he'll say, can I have one too?
Yeah.
And I do it because I think that you have to let a man, and I'm going to get a lot of
No,
flack
but
for this.
listen,
Gotta
it is
let a man
true.
be a man.
It's true. But
We
I think
we can't be all.
But I also
with a
think that is
man.
part. Listen, I get into trouble all the time because people say that I am very
Independent,
man-like.
right?
Right.
I don't need anybody.
Yeah. Well, and not only that, they say I'm very man-like in my way of thinking because I do believe in the traditional way that relationships are set up. I want to be rescued and saved, even though at the end of the day I got my own cape.
You can do.
It's in the closet.
You can do your own thing.
Yes, I keep a parachute now. If I need it, I can break it out. But I'd rather keep it over here, and I want you to save me. And guess what? I'm going to reward you by being a wonderful woman. I'm going to cook for you. I'm going to do
Yes.
all of those things that keep me pretty in pink. However, I know that I would do it, but it's actually getting there again
It's
and
very
allowing yourself
difficult.
to be vulnerable.
It's very difficult, and I struggle with it.
Yeah.
I struggle with it, and he knows I struggle with it because he'll sometimes say to me, "What are you really thinking?" And I'm like, "No, no, I hear you. I'm good."
Yeah.
But you've got to let them be men.
It's hard.
I'm sorry. You've got to let them
I'm
take
telling you.
charge sometimes.
Yeah, no, you do. I totally agree. You have to, but it is the hardest thing. It is the hardest thing.
incredibly
And then
difficult.
the other thing, now,
Especially when you got your own money.
yeah, oh, and then there's that.
You're
Because
like,
let me tell you something.
You asking me how much I paid for those shoes? Why are you asking me that?
Yeah. It's hard, but not
It's
only
hard.
that, having your own money, especially when you have a nice little amount, it will make you run off at the mouth when you ought to be quiet. Because in your mind, you're thinking, you do know I can leave, right? You do know I could fly or go.
That's difficult. That's
So
difficult.
that's how I try to. How do you do that? And I guess
That's
it is
hard.
the love in the end. Because 16 years, in my mind, when you said that, I was like,
It's
really?
not. It's not really just love because I think that's instrumental, right? So you need the love. It's the commitment.
Yeah.
It's the decision to stay committed no matter what. My husband's very traditional, and in that respect, I'm very traditional as well. I explained to him that I'm a child of divorce. Both of my parents have told me many, many times, had they to do it over again, they would have never gotten divorced. And I explained to him, if you're going to marry me, you're going to marry me forever. So divorce is not an option. And he don't know this, but I've often told him, divorce is not an option except if you cheat. If I'm being honest, another woman is not going to destroy my family.
So
If I'm being honest.
No, we want you to be honest. Because listen, I had to ask myself
not
this.
gonna
Because
destroy my
again,
family.
thinking about if I were to ever get married, if my husband were to cheat, which I hear all the time, I have a lot of male friends, and I hear all the time
Men
that
cheat.
men will cheat, period.
They cheat.
They just will.
cheat.
And then people say, well, I would leave and da. So if you think, and I've said this before, I've said it on record, I'll say it again, if I found out that my husband cheated, if I got married, I would not leave. And I'm not going to broadcast to the world, you cheated on me, but I
do
stayed.
feel like I'm
not
broadcasting
going to do
to the
that.
world.
I'm not going to do that. And that does
But-
not give you a pass to do it.
It doesn't have to give you a pass, but it's not going to break up my family.
Yeah.
My family is very important to me. My husband's very important to me. I think that it's the best case scenario when you have two parents in a home with your children.
Yeah.
And you have a real partnership and you have a healthy relationship in front of those children. So absent, for me, physical or mental abuse, I intend to stay married. Like I think that an affair would not destroy. I won't let an affair destroy my marriage.
Wow.
That's
Listen,
just me.
I think it's awesome.
I'm not
Let me
saying
tell you
that
this.
everybody else should follow that.
No, but
for
you know
me.
what? No, listen, let's be real.
These are
You
delicious.
Yeah, listen, I'm about to grab that cheese in a few seconds,
Okay.
but I have got to say this. This is the thing that it's in black and white. You can have your own opinion about it, but at the end of the day, you can't argue facts. Now, being traditional, that means you come from the old school. If you think about it, my mom and dad were married for almost 40 years. And I know my daddy was not faithful. Sorry, Daddy. She had to spill the beans. But my mama was committed to her family.
I am.
And even though my dad kind of did his thing every now and then, he was still committed to his family.
Yeah.
So I don't think, cheating is anything new. I think now we just have more options, and everything is so fast,
can get out.
from, online dating to social network and social media. You have an option now wherever you feel there is a deficit in your relationship
Yeah.
that this person is not feeling for you, whether it's male or female. You can get it easily somewhere else.
Absolutely.
You don't have to leave your house now and get gussied up and go to the bar. No, you
Absolutely.
can sit in your undies and
porn and all that. Yeah.
log on, and I think it makes it easier. So I definitely think that, today we are so quick to just walk away because you do have
Yeah.
so many options,
Yeah.
as opposed to stay and work hard.
And it is hard work. I mean,
How hard is it? Oh, look, how hard is
it's
it?
the hardest thing that I've done other than raising children. I mean, and I've prosecuted child sex offenders, and there's tear gas in Ferguson, and I'm sleeping 3-4 hours a day, sometimes maximum. It's probably the hardest thing I've done, other than raising children.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's work.
Thank you, Sonny. Now I'm really not going to
day.
get married. My job is hard enough.
It's
You
great.
don't want to add
It's
that
great
onto
work,
it,
though.
girl. You have ruined it for me.
It's great work.
Let's talk about something else.
It's
I feel like
raising
I'm
a
definitely
family.
not getting married now. I was trying to be funny and say I'm not going to get married when really I want to, but now if it's work
hard.
like that, that means I'd have 2 or 3 jobs. I don't know if I want that.
It's a full-time job. It's like
Well, you
being
know
a
what?
mother.
Listen. Yeah, then there's that.
Oh, Lord.